This CyCast is provided to you by the Iowa State Letter Winners Club, bridging the gap between legend and legacy by engaging in our past to invest in our future.
Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to our latest CyCast, and we have an outstanding guest today and one of the greatest offensive linemen in Iowa State history, Kelechi Osemele, All-American, and went on to the NFL to have a brilliant career, and now he's an Iowa State Hall of Famer. Welcome to the show, Kelechi.
Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the first thing I got to ask you is how excited were you when Jamie Pollard shocked you and told you that you're been inducted into the Iowa State Hall of Fame?
That was pretty dope. First of all, it was just like dope to talk to Jamie because I hadn't seen him in like forever. He looks great still, by the way. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
For an old man. And then, I was like super hyped about the news as well too. It was just like a lot of memories and flashbacks and stuff. And it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, once again, you're obviously very deserving of the honor, and we're all happy. And let's start from the beginning, KO. Growing up in Houston, Texas, which is obviously big time football fertile ground.
Yeah.
How did you get interested in football?
Man, I was really young. I think my dad taped over the wedding vows with the Cowboys Bills Super Bowl when I was like
okay.
really, really young. So like one of my first early memories is like my mom being really upset about that and my dad pulling out a copy of the actual vows. Like he had dubbed over one, the wedding starts, they do the vows, the game comes on, and then, he had the other one. And everybody just like laughing and stuff like that, and then putting the game back on, and my sister's crying, being all happy. And then my uncle's just like laughing and watching the game. And I just remember everybody's reaction, to the players on the screen, and how little kids are jumping up and down in the living room trying to get attention or whatever. And I tell my dad, like, I can do that, whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, you're gonna be an NFL player? And I must have been probably like 3 or 4 years old, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be an NFL player. And so it kind of really just started right there.
Yeah. Well, you had a great high school career, and you started getting a lot of interest from a lot of schools. And Iowa State, at the time, the head coach was Gene Chizik.
Yeah.
And how did your recruitment start with him in Iowa State? How did they first notice you?
It was this guy, Barney, just like pulled up to my front porch. It was crazy. I came home from like school and practice one day. He was just chilling on the porch. And, I'm just like, who is this dude? I start talking to him.
Yeah.
He had a Bible in his hand. So, like, I know he did his research because my mom's a minister. So we're kind of like outside. I'm like, I'm not even really sure if I'm like, allowed or she'd be cool with me letting him in. So end up waiting. My mom pulls up in the driveway. She's got the same face I had on. And they start talking. They start talking scripture like crazy, like going back and forth. And my mom invites him into the house. And, just tells, my mom how much she wants me at the school and, like that they need me and yada, yada, yada. And I just remember my mom's like vibe kind of shifting from being defensive to getting more comfortable as they talked.
Yep.
And she kind of felt like it was a sign and I should check it out. So I went over there and checked it out. It really was just one of those things where it was like, I just felt like there was a desire and a need for me to be there. So I felt purpose behind it. Whereas other schools were telling me, like A&M was like, yeah, if we got a guy on academic probation, if he doesn't pass, then we have a scholarship for you. So it was just like a huge contrast. There were schools that were like more interested and that really wanted me, but it was really just the approach of, the scout, the guy being on my front porch, sitting on my living room couch, getting along with my mom and me taking the trip over there and, seeing snowfall, like, on one of the visits and,
yeah.
People, taking me to, house parties or whatever. And, I had a pretty strict background and everything like that. And just getting along with the guys and everything like that. And just being like, yo, this is a place I can really grow and like discover my personality and learn and grow as a human being. So the vibe just felt right. The guys were dope. They didn't have big egos. They were like down to earth and everything. So I was like, yeah, man, this seems like the place for me. So.
Yeah. Well, your first year, KO, you sat out as a redshirt, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so how was that transition like, coming from Houston to Iowa State and, sitting out and you can't play?
Yeah. It was kind of weird because I kept hearing from the upperclassmen that I should have been starting. I don't know what the record was. I think it might have been 2-10 or 3-9 that year or something like that. And guys were like coming up to me as if I was in control. Like, what are you doing? Like, you should be in the game. What are you doing? And I'm like, just Chiswick told me before I came in that I was going to be redshirted. Like he told me he wants to develop me and he has plans for me to be in the NFL someday. And that starts with stocking up all the guys that he wants to recruit. And in order to get all his guys in, he needs to redshirt me to get all his guys in. So that was part of the plan. So I pretty much just like practice getting prepared for that, for that vision. I got in trouble for picking on some of the seniors and some of the varsity players, but it was fun. Like I didn't experience any drop off whatsoever from playing in high school to my first days at Iowa State. It was just like dominance from day one at practice. Me and my boy Jay Black, I think we were both scout team players of the year from the same district, grew up together, known each other since like the second grade, played football together, all going out through, our whole lives really. Still best friends to this day. We just pulled up on campus and we're like, yo, we're going to do this.
Yeah. Well, you know more than anyone, KO, how challenging it is for a offensive lineman to start 4 years in a Power Five like you did. Your first, so for your redshirt freshman year, you're a starter. Um, what was that like? I mean,
man, yeah, that was dope. I think we played Okie State, man, and I think it was on ABC or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I was hyped, man. I'm like, yo, prime time. I'm on the screen. I remember Reggie Stevens looks at me. Reggie looks at me. He's like, hey, bro, like, congratulations, you in the game, but focus. Like, get your head in the game. Like, be ready. You'll never forget this, like, this first game. And I did, and it was dope. I think Des Bryant balled that game. I'm like, watching him on the other side of the ball, like, I'm like, wow, like, this is what the league's going to be like? Because I remember being like,
good. It was loaded,
he just came off suspension or something like that. And so everybody was talking about him going first round. Man, I remember everything about that, man. I still remember Leonard Johnson crying in the bathroom from getting burnt, man. Like, I remember everything about that first year in that first season. I got hurt. I think I tore my Achilles or something. And I remember my strength coach being like, never relinquish your position, and playing through it the whole year. And then I remember when the new staff came in, they thought I was trash because they didn't know I played hurt. And so to them, like, it was like a huge jump from my sophomore or freshman year because they didn't even know I was hurt.
Yeah, so head into your redshirt sophomore year, there was a new staff and Coach Rhodes.
Yeah, it was like Herman and them pulled up. Yeah.
Yeah, what was that transition like? Because it's obviously entirely different coaches.
I loved it. Like, Coach Herman was dope, man. His energy, he was like so passionate. Like, the energy was crazy. So I was feeling that. And then me and Yancey kind of butt heads at first because he was like a sports science guy and I hadn't had any experience with that. I didn't feel like the workouts were hard enough, and I was starting to move into a leadership position, so I was worried about winning games. And then obviously he's a lot smarter than me, and that's his job. So, guys started making gains without getting hurt and with less effort, to be honest with you. And that pretty much was it. Like that, Yancey coming in with the strength program, turning everything around, and then Coach Herman as the O coordinator coming in with the game plan. That was I think that was like a big part of us being successful and turning the corner.
Yeah, you guys shocked a lot of people that year, and 2009.
Yeah, we went through Nebraska.
Yeah, huge turnaround.
Yeah, that's what we matching up one-on-one with Sue. That was fun. I remember that game. I think we beat Iowa in like triple or double overtime that year as well too.
Well, that was your senior year, I think, KO. But
senior year.
Yeah, but going back to Sue, I mean, would he be the toughest defender in college that you ever faced?
Nah, not really. I thought it was going to be a lot tougher than it actually was. I would probably say Vaughn was up there. Von Miller was up there. Oh, that's right,
Vaughn. Yep, he was playing
Vaughn was pretty. Vaughn was pretty good because power. I'm used to power. Like, I'm a power guy. I'm a strong guy. So if you want to go one-on-one, I'm with that. But It's a lot harder being on an island on the edge with a dude that's super fast and can bend like that. I would probably say Vaughn.
Yeah. Well, obviously you can't go wrong with those two guys. They had legendary NFL careers. Obviously when you were here, KO, we had a great rushing attack, and it was obviously you had a big part in that. But you also have to have good running backs, and Iowa State was blessed to have
A-Rob, my boy A-Rob, yeah.
Alexander Robinson.
We just went to Zach Spears' wedding 7 years back. I saw it was the last time I saw him. Yeah, we had A-Rob, we had Woody. Those were the two guys I remember. We had this big dude, swole, Jeremiah Schwartz.
Jeremiah Schwartz.
He was nice too. Woody was nice. We had like a bunch. Like we didn't have anybody that was like, like world beaters, but everybody was like serviceable and like and good.
Yep. Well, let's move forward to your senior year, your first team All-American, first team All Big 12, had a fantastic year. And that year, for Iowa State fans, you could almost argue that there was two games that year that you could almost rank as two of the most memorable games in Jack Trice Stadium. Okie State and Iowa.
That was crazy.
Two of the most craziest games that fans have ever seen. And I want to talk about each one. But first off, that Iowa game, it's hot. It's so hot. It goes into triple overtime.
Yeah.
And what I remember was on multiple times in the late fourth quarter and overtime, we would have third and longs, and we'd always get it.
Yeah.
What do you remember from Steele Jantz had a great game and
man, Steele, bro. Oh man. That boy was so nice, man. Disappeared into the sunset, man. Oh man. Yeah, Steele, like his leadership, man, like he just had these eyes when he got in the huddle. It was like no doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like it was never a doubt. Like there was never any like, can we convert this or anything like that. Like it could have been 4th and 29 and we would have converted it. Like
well, you did that game, that's for sure. And then the game ends on a James White touchdown, and I can't imagine how thrilled you guys were.
James, Dallas, Texas skyline, James, bro, James balled too. James did ball that game. Dang, that's memories, man. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, the next game, obviously, we have to bring up is Oklahoma State, and you could argue it's the greatest win in Iowa State football history.
Man,
and that Oklahoma State team, man, was that loaded. They were loaded, and it goes into overtime. And what was the reaction of the offense when Jake Knott tipped that ball and Teron Benton intercepted?
Oh, we knew it was over. We knew like that was it. Like it was the momentum, like the attitude, the mentality. It was a wrap.
Yeah, because basically, you guys just ran the ball right up their gut, right behind you. Jeff Woody, 3 straight times. I think he went 6, 15, and 4.
Yeah, and they told me too. They were like straight up, like we're coming behind you, and I'm like, I'm ready. Let's go. Like let's do it. They can't stop me.
No.
Man, the feeling was crazy, man. Like just pure adrenaline, like moving somebody against their will. And you're getting, you know what I'm saying? You're getting love for doing it. You know it's going to send you to the next level. My mom's in the stands. It's senior night.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just all the things all at once. They're like, it's a televised game. I think they were like number 2. So it was just the moment, man. Just like being in the moment, like just being present in the moment, being like, man, just being on fire, just being passionate, being ready, man. Just like running through people, man.
What was that like with all the crowd, swarming the field after it was over?
It was crazy because I recognized so many people from like class and from like the bars and stuff. I was like, I just saw you like the other day. Like, so that was super dope. My mom, so like eventually they like made it down to the field and everything like that. But yeah, that was amazing. I feel like I had a guy after that. I went to a party and I signed an autograph of a blade of grass in a Ziploc bag and a ticket. Like it was like a guy that I knew from like class. I was like, all right, if you want me to sign it, I'll sign it. Like, But yeah, that was crazy, celebrating with all my peers, my classmates and everything like that. That was a good time. Man, some of my best memories were college, were Iowa State. I tell people all the time, like in the league and just in life now in general, they think, Iowa's like a flyover state or what's there or how was my experience, and just kind of think I was, gonna like be bored or homesick. Yeah. Man, it was some of the best times of my life. I had a blast at Iowa State, man. It was a good time.
Well, to this day, how often do fans who recognize you bring up that Oklahoma State game?
Man, every time. The last time I went back for a game, I think it came up, and a grown man comes up to me and he throws me a picture from the game, and he's a kid, right? Like I'm like, got my hand on his head or something like that. Is a grown man. And he was like, like this was me. Remember this? He had like a picture of him at the game as a kid. So just trippy, man. Just trippy. Pretty
Yeah.
cool.
So your career, ends at Iowa State, and you're the second round pick in the NFL draft, a second round pick by the Baltimore Ravens. And
Yeah.
not only do you make the team, you become a starter as a rookie on
Yeah.
a team that wins a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How amazing was that for the first year to win a Super Bowl as a starter?
Yeah, that was amazing, man. They kind of warned me before I came. I think I flew in early. I'm not even sure if that was legal. I think Harbaugh might have gotten in trouble, but I had to like leave some of my stuff, pack some of my stuff in a box. Like I had to dip early because they're like, "Yo, man, we got this guy. He's overweight right now. We don't have time for you to be a rookie. You need to report early."
Yep.
He was on me. Like he was like, "Yo, like you need to work out. You can't be a bust." He was like, "I've been hearing." He was like, "Nah, like you need to work this. We don't have time. Like we're trying to win right now. We need you to start right now. We drafted you to handle the guys in Pittsburgh, personnel wise, and to handle wolf work and all of that."
Yep.
They told me straight up, like, "Yo, man to man, you're gonna be going against Lodi at practice, and we need you to be ready straight up like day one." And I was like, "All right." And again, it was one of those things where there was a need, and I felt purpose, so I was ready.
That playoff run you guys had was amazing because you were the wild card team, weren't you? Right?
Yeah, at one point we lost like 4 games in a row. They fired our offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Everybody doubted us. But we really came together as like players, man. Like that was like probably where I learned a lot of leadership in the NFL and locker rooms and stuff like that, was how the players took control, like period. Like that was a player-led team. That was Ed Reed. That was Ray Lewis. That was Terrell Suggs. Like those guys took control. You know what I'm saying? They're like, "Nah, this is on us. We're going to do this. We're going to get this done. We're going to take care of each other. We're going to focus on being healthy. We're going to be ready on Sundays, popping out of our skins, ready to go." So it was like one of those things. And that's where I kind of learned, how to win, man, like what it takes, the preparation and the work ethic. And I had that at Iowa State as well too. So it wasn't a big difference in terms of like mental toughness or that mentality, but, man, yeah, that just carried me through the rest of my career.
What was that like? You mentioned a bunch of names: Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. Man, just amazing players. What was that like to actually get to know these guys and be on the same team and battle with them every day?
Man, it was dope. I remember one of my first memories, man. It was hilarious. I walk up to Ray, and my sister Abera's like, "Yeah, I want an autograph, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Man, I'm not about to ask my own teammate for an autograph. That's crazy." So I go up to his locker, and it's my sister. I love her, so I'm like, "Man, all right." And it's like after a practice or something, and I'm like, "Yo, man, my sister wants to know if I can get your autograph." And I'm all like nervous about asking him because it's hello, I feel like it's weird. And he's like, "Yeah, man, young buck, you know what I'm saying? Like, just give me like 300 or whatever. There's an ATM at the front. We had an ATM at the front of the building."
Yeah.
So I go over, grab the money, come back. And, it's a couple other guys with him at his locker. And they're like, "Yo, man," we was like trying to see if he was actually going to do it. They start laughing. And I'm like, wow, like it's my first time being pranked, man. This boy just hazed me. And he was like, "Nah, man, I don't need your money. I don't want your money, man. Give me that, man. Of course I'm going to sign it." And it was just like that, man. It was just a bunch of clowns, like just playing around, having fun, man. Just, it was like a family, man. I remember I was like grabbing food or something like that in the morning. And it's early. I think I was one of the first people there. Me and Ed Reed are in there. And he's like, he waves me over. And I'm like, I'm about to, eat breakfast one-on-one, like hella early. I'm not even awake yet with Ed Reed, right? And we just have a small conversation about how we grew up and where we're from and, like starting fast when you're young and like college and how that was like and how there's no difference. Basically, like you have the talent, you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose. Like same thing you did at that level, do at this level, you'll be fine. Like don't let that stuff get in your head. Don't let the lights get in your head. Don't let the distractions get in your head. Don't think about none of that. Just ball. You know how to ball. And now, yeah, that was it from the jump. That was like before training camp or during training camp or something like that. But yeah, it was just like conversations like that, man. Immediately welcoming me in and, giving me a big role and just being like, "Yo, man, you're a part of this team. We expect you to help us win. And we're going to hold you accountable, and it's going to be hard, but you got to do it. And we think you can do it, and we believe in you." And that's just how it was.
Yeah. Well, after 4 years with Baltimore, you signed a free agent contract with the Oakland Raiders. And,
Yeah.
KO, you made Iowa State history because you made back-to-back Pro Bowls, was a first-team All-Pro. what type of validation did you get to basically know that you could say that you were the best offensive lineman in the NFL?
Man, that was really validating. Like anybody that has a big dream, you're inevitably going to have some people that have some doubts about you, whether it be your character, your work ethic, or your performance, whatever, or just the fact that it's statistically, slim. So it was one of those things where I just had a big chip, for a really long time. Had a lot of people tell me that I wouldn't even be able to make it that far. And so, as you get to one goal, you set another. And I remember, I think I had like I read something about like having the second highest performance or something like that behind Flacco, and how I have a chance to make a Pro Bowl or whatever after my rookie year. And so I was chasing the Pro Bowl. Nobody knew this, but I was chasing that. Like I was playing my butt off. I was like Friday night, 10 p.m. in the gym. Like I had access 24/7. I was in there. Like I think I had back surgery 6 days or I think it was 6 weeks later or something like that. I'm like already back in the indoor facility, running sprints, hitting the punching bag, like working out, lifting and stuff. I busted out of my stitches. I was chasing that thing from like since after the end of my rookie year.
Yeah.
And that whole year, my whole senior year, I played through a back injury. And then my whole rookie campaign, I played through the same back injury, finally had surgery on it that second year. And I end up recovering my third year, and I'm like, I'm on fire. Like, if barring me getting hurt,
Yep.
I'm on fire. And so from that point, from year 3, balled, didn't get it. Year 4, I think they said like something about an honorable mention or something like that. And like the player development guy calls me, apologizing, Harry Swain. And I know he meant well. I wasn't like really upset about it. I just knew I deserved it. I was just going to keep doing the same thing. And a lot of guys came up to me and they were like, you know what, bro? Like, it's one of those things where people don't know O-line play. They don't really watch it like that. But once you have the money behind you and the big deal behind you, watch. It's a weird thing. It'll just start coming. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. I was just doing what I was already doing. Like, if you watch my film in Baltimore from like my 3rd, my 4th year, even my rookie year, I was doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I was driving dudes 15, 20 yards downfield and dumping them, It wasn't like I got to Oakland and started like all of a sudden playing out of my mind. I was already doing that.
Yeah.
So that validation was super dope. It was like, yeah, man, like now I know you see it. I always knew on the inside, but it was like now everybody sees it. So that felt good.
What was that like to play in Oakland Alameda Coliseum in front of those crazy fans?
Man, it was dope. It was dope, man. Like I just remember one of my first huddles is looking at the crowd. Everybody's standing up. Everybody's yelling. I can smell the weed in the air. I can see the lighters. They're playing Mac Dre. You know what I'm saying? It's bumping. I'm like, yo, like this is dope. Like totally different vibe, man. Like I was messing with it hard. Like that's why I'm still in the Bay. I'm in the Bay right now. That's the Bay Bridge right here leading to Oakland. Like I'm still in the Bay. If that answers anything, like that's what it was like playing in the Coliseum. I'm still here, even after the team left. I'm looking at houses in Oakland right now.
That's awesome.
It was amazing. Yeah.
So KO, you played a long time in the NFL at a high level. You went up against some of the best NFL defenders of all time. Who would you rate as the toughest guy you ever had to block?
Man, tough is difficult to describe because there's so many qualities that makes a player tough or a person tough. But I would probably say one of the guys I put up there is Tamba Ali, because I think he like broke his thumb at one point in the middle of us playing. And I didn't find out until halftime. And they came up to me and they were like, yeah, man, Tamba's out. Good job. Not like I was trying to hurt him or anything like that. And after the game, he came up and shook my hand normal. Like, didn't seem like anything was wrong with his hand. But he broke it. You know what I'm saying? Broke his thumb or broke his hand or his wrist. And it was a battle. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was a tough attribute. You don't really see that all the time. So I was like, that's a tough attribute. And then, there's Cam Hayward, who is a power guy like Sue. If you want to talk power, if you want to talk bull rush, you want to talk that type of stuff, Cam Hayward, plus the heightened, the heat of the moment of it being a rivalry game, playing the Steelers, every time we matched up, that was a battle. And then, you know, there's guys that was like quicker, more finesse, but also had some power, like Corey Legit with the Chargers. Got his jersey hanging up in my closet right now. He was a rider. He was a baller. Used to box with the same guy, trainer down in San Diego, train with the same guy. Yeah, man. There's, I mean, it's the NFL, man. It inevitably, man. Like you said, you get matched up with the toughest, with the best players, and you either show up or you get exposed. But man, it was fun. It wasn't like college where it was like circle your calendar, you know, because you're gonna be really having a good time playing a good contender. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, man, like every week, Jabal Sheard, man, he was a baller my rookie year. I remember him. Man, there was just like different guys at different positions that were just ballers, bro, that they would just fight every play. Like, it's one thing to be talented, you know, and to kind of flash and to make a few plays. And it's easy to do that on defense. But I respected guys that brought it every single snap, because that takes a certain type of mental toughness. And it takes a mental endurance to be able to like play fourth quarters at a high level like that with your adrenaline flowing and it's violent and you're in pain, but you're fighting. So like those type of players, man, like that pops up in my head for sure.
Yeah. Well, in 2020, KO, you were with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you know, unfortunately, you suffered a couple of devastating injuries. When did you know it was time where it was probably to hang it up after that happened?
I think it was after it was like I had two workouts, the Colts and the Raiders. The Raiders guys like, we really like you. We're probably going to bring you in, stay tight. And then the Colts were like, we're trying to bring you in right now. And all of the thoughts I was having a family at that point. I was like, man, I'm ready to like invest my money, have kids and stuff like that. I think at the time my financial advisor was like, what they're offering you is less than what your portfolio is returning right now. Like, it's up to you if you really want to go back. The passion was still there, but I was like, am I really going to put my body at risk again to, you know? So I was just like, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm going to do it. And to be honest with you, I had started traveling a lot at that point. I was in Bali. I was in Dubai. I was in Pakistan. I was in France, Paris for Fashion Week. You know, I was in Germany visiting family there. I was in Amsterdam. I was in Rotterdam visiting my family there. My family's kind of like all over. So I was just like, you know, reconnecting with my family overseas, traveling the world. I just had so many different interests, man. I was learning about the world. So I was doing so many different things. I was taking improv comedy. I was in Hollywood and writing rooms and stuff like that, sitting in. Like, I was doing so much stuff off the field that it was just like, yeah, this is fun. It gets my adrenaline going. It's passionate and everything like that. But I could always go to New Zealand and jump off the highest free fall in the world if I want to get that hit. You know what I'm saying? Once I started experiencing that, and the money wasn't adding up, and you know, putting my body at risk, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm chilling. Thinking about having a family. I'm thinking about all the other stuff I want to do with my life, and I'm chilling.
Well, good for you, KO. And you know, you've had a chance to come back a couple times to Iowa State, and I mean, I guess my other question I have to ask you is, how proud of you are you as an Iowa State football alum to see what Matt Campbell's done with this program in the last 7 years?
Man, it's amazing, man. It feels like who we've always been, man. You know, like we just needed the right coaches, or not necessarily even the right coaches, but just the right guys, being able to attract the right guys, right? Like just bringing the right men in for the job, I think was what we kind of, you know, we needed more of. And he's done an amazing job of that. And also, I remember like Arnaud, I feel like he's still out here. I think he's in Oakland.
Yeah, he is.
I think he actually lives in my old building. But yeah, like him, I remember him being like, yo, man, I went back and visited, and Campbell's like, for real, like he's a good dude, and he likes having all the guys around. Because, you know, I feel like all coaches will say that, but, you know, some guys will feel like there's a vibe of like, you know, they don't really feel that welcome. So I heard it from not even just him. Multiple guys kept like coming back and telling me that. And so I was like, all right, you know, like pull up, and yeah, everything looked different. Everything changed. The vibe was different. The energy was different. Man, it just seemed like they were doing everything right. Like just the little things, and just treating players well, you know? So yeah, that was dope, man.
Yeah.
That's really dope.
Well, living out in the Bay Area right now, KO, what's your thoughts on Brock Purdy mania out there?
Man, it's dope. It's crazy. It's like, it's one of those funny things where you're like, who are you rooting for? And it's like, man, it's complicated, you know, because like I'm rooting for one guy, right? Because he
Yeah.
went to my school, and it's like one of those small circle things, bro. You would only know if you went there. You know how close everybody is that goes there. You know, so I'm obviously rooting for him. And at the same time, you know, you got your boys in Oakland that are like, "Come on, bro! Like you can't root for them.
Yeah,
Like what are you
exactly.
doing? You were a Raider, you know." So, but it's super dope, man. I'm super proud. It's always dope to have an Iowa State guy doing well. Like every time I'm like watching a game with some friends at a bar or something like that, or even if I'm at home watching it, I'm always like, oh yeah, you know, that's that he went to Iowa State. Like, you know, like I always pointed out, I always shout out every guy that like played at Iowa State, and they're like, and everybody's shook. They're like, oh really? Like, you know, and it's like, yeah, no, we got some guys, man. Don't sleep on us.
Absolutely. Well, KO, last question I got to ask you before I let you go, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time, is, how excited are you to come back this fall for your Hall of Fame induction?
Man, I'm really excited, man. It's gonna be a trippy feeling, man. After so many years, like like I said, man, there's no experience that I've had in my life, really. I mean, I've had some pretty amazing experiences, but I think it's just different when you're coming of age.
Yep.
Iowa State really, man, was really pivotal in my life. Like, you know, in terms of just bringing me in, treating me like family. Like my best friends, we just had a guys trip out in Seattle, a bunch of my boys from Iowa State that don't play ball, because a lot of my friends were actually off the field because I have so many different interests and was
Yep.
interested in studying so many different things. They're still my best friends to this day. These guys would, you know, invite me home, you know, for Thanksgiving. My boy Kevin, my boy Zach, I'm like those are still my boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
Like
awesome.
those are my guys. Like those are the guys that like I'm pulling up to their funeral, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping they're pulling up at mine. You know, those are the type of connections at Iowa State, you know, and I think that's different, man. Like not every school is like that, especially a school as big as Iowa State. I don't think
Yeah.
people understand how big a school is. So to have like a small community, like small town vibe, people coming from farms, you know, like I'm pulling up to their farms, you know, like
Yeah.
shooting skeet. You know, it's just a different vibe, you know, like just good people, good energy. I love being around good people. I love being around good energy, especially after being in big cities where, you know, sometimes you deal with, you know,
Yeah.
BS.
Yeah.
So, man, like I'm excited to be back around good people. I'm excited to be back in the Midwest, and I think it's going to be great. Like I'm looking forward to it, man.
Well, KO, thanks for taking the time today, and we can't wait to see you this fall. It's going to be a fun time, and um, you're an outstanding representative of Iowa State, and we're so happy that you're going to be inducted. Thank you.
Man, thank you for, thank y'all for seeing the talent in me and bringing me in and loving on me, man. Like I don't think I'd ever been loved like that before, you know. So, man, just like making me a part of y'all's family, man. I'm grateful for that. It changed my life. So, yeah, thank you,
Awesome. Thanks, KO.
no doubt.